Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got an XDM on the table. Now I know you guys have seen these things before. They're actually pretty common and pretty popular, but this one's special. This one is a 10mm. Springfield has finally come out with the 10mm XDM. And we've already had it to the range, of course, and it's fun to shoot, it's easy to shoot well, the sights on it are good. So let's go ahead and talk about this thing because, you know, we love 10mm, and I know many of the viewers do. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this thing. So we'll start out with, of course, we do have an empty 10mm, so this thing can't bite. It comes from the factory with these steel 15-round magazines. It only comes with 2 of them, which is unusual. A lot of these guns are coming with 3. However, technically right now, during the fall, it comes with 5 because they're doing their Gear Up promotion. And they do it every fall, right around, starting usually in the November-ish time frame, going through Christmas. And this particular version of that is coming also with a range bag. And the range bag has got places to put magazines, pouches to put a pistol, and this is all free. So if you buy it during the Gear Up promotion, you'll get the range bag and 3 extra magazines. But we'll set those aside for now, and we'll focus on what actually comes with it if you're not getting it during the Gear Up promotion or pretty much any time. So what you've got is a 10mm, it's the XDM 10, 4.5-inch barrel, and that's also part of the model number. So Springfield in the XDM series uses the barrel length as the model. So this is the XDM 10 4.5. It's 7.7 inches long, it's 5.75 inches tall, and it's 1.2 inches thick. So it's basically the size of any other XDM. Like every other XDM, it has interchangeable back straps. So there's 3 different sizes that you can put on it. It has this nice, serrated grip at the front and on the sides. And it's contoured well. It fits well in the hand. Now the XDM series does have the grip safety. I know some people do like them, some people don't. I'm kind of neutral on them. It works. I grab a hold of it, get a firing grip on it, and the thing always works. And it's got a nice deep beaver tail, so you're not going to get the slide back. There is a striker indicator that shows you the striker is cocked. It protrudes a little bit. You can see it there. And you could also feel it with your thumb if you had your thumb on it. Now the newer ones, like the XDM 10, come with 3-dot fiber optic front sight and 2-dot rear. So it's one dot at the front that's red and 2 dots at the rear that are white. Some of the older ones came with just a regular white dot front sight. And like all the other XDMs, it does have some front serrations. And of course the rear serrations are really nice. They're deep enough and edged enough that you can get a hold of them very easily, but they don't bite into your skin or tear you up. And you've got a 3-slot Picatinny rail up front. Lights, lasers, whatever it is you want to put on it. So they're very well designed guns overall, and if you're familiar with the XDM series, you'll be able to pick this thing up and work with it just as easily as any of the others in your collection. The trigger on this is actually quite nice. A little bit of take up, and then you get to actually a nice smooth crisp break. There's a little bit of creep, but not much, and it really is just kind of a smooth creep. It's not bad at all. And then resets a little on the longer side. That would be all the way out. Go back to the take-up, the break, the reset. There's a little bit of take-up after the reset to get back on the wall, and then the break again. Overall, it's a very nice trigger, and it's consistent with all the other XDM series. You will see that it does have the split trigger, like the Glocks and others, as part of the drop safety mechanism. These are drop-safe weapons, and they've proven to be drop-safe. There's not been any issues with the drop safeties on these. It works very similar to the Glock mechanism, and it's quite reliable. And of course the weight on this, which I forgot to mention earlier, is 31.2 ounces. So it's right in there consistent with all the other polymer wonders. A few of the other things that you might want to know about it is the price. Its MSRP is $652, but you can find them down in the $550, $560 range fairly easily. So it's a very reasonably priced 10mm gun. And this is also available in 5.25-inch version. It's not available in the 3.8 version, which is their compact. It's a melanite finish. With the 5.25-inch version, I think you get 3 mags. And one thing about this that's kind of unique is Springfield torture tested one of these with 10,000 rounds of Federal Hydroshock, which is a fairly hot 10 millimeter. And if you're familiar with 10 millimeter, there's quite a range of powers in the various loadings. Some of them are really not any more powerful than 40, and others will give 357 Magnum a serious run for its money. So Federal Hydroshock is one of the hotter ones that's out there. So let's talk about disassembling this thing, which is actually quite easy. You start by locking it back, flip up the lever. Now the slide is under tension, you just release it and slide it apart. And one thing you'll notice that I didn't do is I didn't pull the trigger. That's one of the things with the entire XDM series is you don't have to pull the trigger. Internally it's pretty much the same as in the other XDM, nice solid robust rails. One thing that I have noticed is the treatment on the fire control group is different on this one. It almost looks like nickel boron. I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of looks like that. Whereas the older ones had the melanite finish. And you've got nice solid rails at the back. And then in the slide, you have a non-captive spring on a nice long guide rod. Comes out very easy, so you don't really have to do any work with it. And other than keeping a hold of it so it doesn't fly away, you're not really going to have any trouble with that. And the guide rod on that, by the way, is metal. Pull out the barrel. Springfield's barrels are very well done. They're machined smooth, they're really well done, and they have nice wide, very highly polished feed ramps. So it's overall, they tend to feed just about anything that you might possibly want to put in them. They are conventional rifling. Get a little bit of light on that. Show you the rifling. And it's been our experience with these things, they just work. They eat whatever it is you want to feed them. Then you do have the drop safety mechanism back here, the edge of the sear, and then a really, really polished loading ramp. So overall, it's just a well done internals, well done overall gun. Put it back together is fairly easy. You just drop the barrel back in. The recoil spring is a little bit more of a challenge, just because you have to kind of initially line it up to get it in there. But the spring is heavy enough that it tends to self-center. It's unlike some of the flat wafer springs that want to bend every which way. If you put straight even pressure on it, it pretty much goes right back together. And then to put it back together, you just line it up, lock it back, drop the lever, and you're back in business. Really easy to maintain gun overall. From the entire XDM series, and Hammer's really a fan of XDMs, he's got quite a few of these things. They just work, they're a pleasure to shoot, they're high quality sights. They are dovetailed. If you want to replace the sights, that's actually fairly easy to do. And I'm quite happy to see that the 10mm is starting to become more popular across the manufacturers. There was a long period of time where if you wanted a 10mm, it was going to look a lot like this, because this is pretty much your choice. You had a Glock 20 or you had a Glock 29, and that was about it. And then it started to pick back up again. A few 1911 variants came out, SIG had one, and now you're starting to see quite a few out there. So maybe Walther will pick up on this and do something in the PPQ series. Now, just to give you a little bit of size perspective, I've got a Glock 20, which I've already waved around. Let me close this guy up. And I've got an XDM 4.5 40. So this is the 40 version of it. Of course, you could almost think of 10mm as 40 Magnum, or what 40 should have been. Go ahead and stick the magazine in this, and then put the Glock up alongside of it. So you'll see that the Glock and the XDM 10 are almost identical in length. The 40 is just a hair shorter, but not significantly. From a height perspective, the Glock is just a little bit shorter in height, but not a significant amount. And from a width perspective, they're roughly the same. I'll get them in frame there. They're roughly the same. The XDM slide being tapered makes it look narrower. It's actually a hair wider than the Glock, but not by an amount that would actually make a significant difference. So from a carry perspective, you can carry a 10mm in the same footprint that you can carry a 40 if you're carrying the Springfield, or if you were going to have the Glock 20. Now, Glock does have the Glock 29, which would be a smaller version. It's like a subcompact version of it that is smaller than any of these. Most of the other manufacturers that are making 10 millimeters right now are making them in this full-size kind of service weapon. And the size on the two XDMs is close enough that if you were holding one and then put it down, picked up the other, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. This is an older XDM, so I don't know if there's any size difference with the newest version of it. This guy's been around for quite a while. But beyond that, any of these you pick are going to do a good job for you. But if I can have 10 millimeter power in the same footprint as a 40, that's a no-brainer. Go with the 10. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that little bell if you do. Check us out on Facebook and Patreon, and have a great day. Thank you.